Chat, today we are going to be watching some of a upcoming game I'm really looking forward to, Chaos Zero Nightmare. So I've been doing a lot of digging, and as you can see, this is in Korean. More about that in just a second. But apparently Chaos Zero Nightmare flew some people out, and they had a showing of sorts to kind of introduce the game to some content creators, and I believe this was in Korea, so a lot of this stuff is in Korean, but they allowed these creators to essentially film some of their experience so that they could broadcast to their communities. Now, I found another creator, I'd shout out their name if I knew which one it was, but I saw them watching a video, and it was in Korean, so I had to do some investigative work. I had to go through, I screen grabbed some of the text so I could put it into like an AI, translate off a picture, get the English verbiage, take the English words, put them into English to Korean translator so I could copy pasta into YouTube and find a similar video. So what we're going to be watching, and we're not going to watch the whole video, but this is like 30 minutes of essentially the opening playthrough of Chaos Zero Nightmare. It's a turn-based deck builder game with a lot of roguelike aspects to it. So I've been doing a lot of research on this game over the past few days. I'm excited about it releasing, so I wanted to share it with you guys as well. And this is essentially the prologue. This is the entry to the game. So for those of you guys that are maybe worried about spoilers, as a heads up, this is, unless they change some things, the intro to the game, but I do not think it's really anything outside of just what a typical introduction would be, getting you used to the combat mechanics, as well as kind of the world and the severity of the situation around us. So we're going to go ahead and watch this, chat. Please ask questions as we go. I will do my best to break down anything that I think needs further explanation. Again, this will be in Korean. However, I've been watching a lot of videos to piece together some of the mechanics and what's going to be going on in this game. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, baby. Turn it down just a smidge. Very excited about CZN. So basically, what I'll explain while they're going through this is the background, and we saw this during the CZN live stream. The developers have had a developer talk where they've expanded on this stuff as well. But long story short, the world / this universe has been overthrown by this presence known as chaos, right? And it has driven civilizations into space. They are no longer able to occupy these various worlds because this chaos has taken over. We just got done watching some ZZZ stuff. Consider it akin to the Hollows. How you can't really operate within the Hollows for too long without having repercussions. If you operate within the chaos for too long, there are also repercussions that we'll talk about. So classic introduction to the game where it's like, oh, you're this hero, but you've lost your memory, so they're gonna kind of catch you up to speed and teach you about, like, the world that we live in, like I just disclosed. It looks like these are, like, the first couple of characters in the same way that, you know, you've got your opening cast in any game. This, you know, red-haired chick and this blue-haired chick are kind of your opening gamers, along with this young man right here. And basically, we are, yeah, Amnesia classic story, exactly. So what we're going to see here is the first, you know, bit of combat. So you start in, and we're going to be fighting. The things that I'd like to point out to you guys ahead of time, and a lot of this should be pretty decently known if you guys have kept up with any of the live streams, where this is a deck builder. So you'll notice here in the bottom center, you're going to get, I believe it's all RNG, but cards that are either generic cards, or cards associated with any of the 3 characters in your lineup. The 3 characters in your lineup share an HP bar, and this gray bar next to each of them is their essentially insanity meter. The longer that you are stuck in the chaos, and I believe like the more you get attacked, the more you build up this insanity meter, and once that happens, you have, you know, various effects that need to be cleansed. Whenever it comes up, I'll explain it in more detail then. But we're going to get cards. This 00 right here indicates, if you're familiar with HSR, we have skill points. In this game, every time it's your turn, you will get a certain amount of points, and the cards cost separate amount of points. So, we'll build up the deck, and, you know, this is going to kind of walk you through it, but you have 3 points. All of these cards you can see indicated in the top left cost 1 point. So in order to play them, you have to have the amount of points remaining. So they all have various effects. It's in Korean, so we're not going to be able to talk about them exactly. But you'll notice a 1-cost card, now there's 2 points remaining. And this is just kind of going through the, you know, enemies' various HP bars. I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but let's just focus on our characters' attacks right now. So various characters, you know, have their cards. And again, we have 1 point remaining. All these cards left cost 1 point, so we can play one more. Boom, now we're at 0. You guys can't see this behind my cam, but there's like a check to complete your turn. You could complete your turn earlier if you wanted to. As you play these cards, by the way, so notice here on the far left, you build up this meter. So that card costs 1. There are 0-cost cards as well. But as you play cards, this meter on the left will slowly build up. I guess that bar wasn't quite completed yet. But it should start building up as people are playing. Or as cards are being played. So we still play the 0 even though we have 0 points remaining. Some of them, I guess, give you an extra turn. I'm not sure why that's not building up. Maybe because it's in the tutorial. But as you build up this left side meter, that's when you can use characters' ego skills or essentially their ultimate. Yeah, we just watched the combat for a smidge. Again, in Korean, so it's not like it's worth to pause and figure out exactly what all the you know, attacks are meant to do. So see, they ran out of cards, so they just had to end the turn right there. Big crit hit, crazy. Yeah, so they're checking the ego skills, but they don't have enough points in order to play any of the ego skills right now. So just got to finish off this first fight, essentially. And the game is called Chaos Zero Nightmare. It is turn-based like HSR, but as you can see, it's got that deck builder aspect to it. So you'll notice, too, look at the HP bar right now. It's at 204 out of 236. Again, it's a combined HP bar. But as we continue to go through, so on to the next area, HP bar remains the same. Yeah, hopefully, like, learning a little bit more, and see, we are also, you know, potentially subject to losing HP. Hard to see whenever I hover the mouse over, but... So again, this is just kind of walking you through what various cards can do. Damage multiplier.
Superman Hero Boy just reached LVL 16.
Hero!
Game looking mighty 16. Fun to be TBH.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited about the game. Okay, so some more story. Again, we don't exactly know what's happening because different language. Yep, pulse champing. False advertising? Nah, bro, we are HSR Gaming, okay? We just happen to be watching a YouTube video in the middle of HSR Gaming. So I've made it long enough to put in your name is basically all that's happening right here. But we'll be getting back into the action in a little bit. Audio's in Japanese, so we've already learned from like a developer commentary that there will be audio in either Korean or Japanese, but there'll be subtitles that you can use in English, but no English dub, at least not on launch. So you guys can see right here, we finished the mission. You get some rewards for it. You got a little bit of level up as well. But yeah, this is just showing. So for example, let me pause it right there. I believe, well, we'll talk about partners, which are weapons in a bit, but this is essentially your pool currency. I forget exactly what this is right here, but character level up, and I believe support level ups right there. And now prologue 2. So first little mission, easy peasy. Go into our next mission. You see, start off with 3 characters. They can be swapped, but we just don't have any new characters right now. It's still early on. For Borderlands? I've never tried And yeah, this is, I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of the dialogue is displayed this way, where, you know, you kind of have just character on screen, but I think the backgrounds do look nice. I think the developer's done a pretty good job with just the art style of the game overall. I was a bit of a skeptic at first, admittedly. I don't necessarily like when games mix mediums. You know, we have regular form of characters, and then in battle you've got the chibis, but it's grown on me a lot. I'm not gonna play any anime IPs, nah. But I'll try the other ones. Duet Night Abyss, Neverness to Everness, etc. Okay, so again, we've got our little deck builder. I'm curious if now it will allow that left side meter to be built up. As you play cards, you should be getting energy for this meter over here. We haven't gotten a chance to see it just yet. Okay, so again, you guys can't see it's behind my cam, but there's a check where you can complete your turn. So 0 cost card, and we have 0 points. It gave us back a point, so we got to play everything essentially. So now you'll get to see, this is essentially, I'm saying it wrong, but the character has gone into like the chaos, more or less. Like they've succumbed to the chaos. There are heals. There's heals and shield abilities as well. So right now, it's hard to see because of the title, but you'll notice in this gray portion, I'll unpause real quick. So notice in the top, there's, and they're kind of highlighting it right now. Damn, I didn't get off the screen. So notice there is, let me rewind it just a smidge. So because it's a shared HP bar, see how that part is grayed out? It's like broken. While a character is in, you know, essentially the insanity mode, their third of the HP bar is no longer recoverable. So you need to essentially play these cards. You can notice that this is 0 out of 5. You need to play 5 of the cards, more or less, to break their insanity and get them back into the fight. While that's happening, for the HSR gamers out there, consider it a form of stun or crowd control where that character is no longer going to be viable. So you're going to need to balance your energy between attacks, heals, you know, shielding, defense type stuff, as well as trying to help them escape their mental break. I actually think that's what it's called, a mental break. Yeah, the sanity system. So boom, we play one of them, play a third one, cool. So she's gonna be 3 out of 5. We played 3 of the cards. And now, if we play the other 2, yep. And they recover. Huge. Now, what's really cool, and the game's going to point it out, so basically, it is now lessened the cost for this character's ego skill or their ultimate. After recovering from the insanity state, it is, you know, it's a disadvantage to be in it. However, upon recovering, you get to, you know, get a cheaper ultimate, more or less. We'll talk about the gacha aspect towards the end. From what I've seen, it is overblown. Like, it is better than the Hoyo games. But I'll get into the specifics that I found once we've gone through more of the gameplay. So, we've had those 2 points. And if we choose to, so now we can play her ultimate card. And this is where you get another, you know, version of the graphics. I believe she must be some sort of healing character. I don't really know the ins and outs of each character all that well so far. Or maybe it just allows you to get points back. Hard to say. But also notice the HP bar in the top left. Because we recovered from the insanity, we got that third of the HP bar back. HP bar back. Sheesh. And now we've got hella cards. I'm going to be honest, I don't exactly know why we have so many more cards in our hand this time. It's called Chaos Zero Nightmare. Or yeah, CZN for short. So yeah, different characters have different abilities. We'll talk about this more a little bit later on. But as you can see, this character just flooded the deck with cards that they can use. I tell you exactly what it does, except for, again, I don't speak Korean. But as you can see, it allowed us to land a pretty solid combo. So there are, you know, essentially unique ways to build upon your character's strengths, you know, in the midst of battle. PGR vibes? I never really played PGR. I literally played it one time, so I can't necessarily, you know, say that it is or isn't equivalent. It was cooler than the banner ones? I don't know. I've seen a little bit of the banners, so I can't tell you for sure. Okay, and now a super strong monster has struck. Yeah, a bunch of story that, like, what can I do? Alright, back into it again. Notice that the HP bar remains the same throughout the entire duration that you were on this mission. Yeah, it's supposed to have some horror themes to it, so having some ugly, repulsive, horrific enemies, you know, it does make sense. It's just kind of part of the aesthetics that they're going for. But I do think the UI is really nice. It reminds me of ZZZ with the, like the bright aesthetics on the UI. It's very nice. Hard mental trauma, yep. Also, I haven't pointed it out yet, but you'll notice above my camera over here, this is your discard pile. So as you draw cards, see how they went from 12 to 7? As you use them, they'll go over to your discard pile. Once you've played all the cards in the hand, they will swap back over. And this is sick. Like, the animations that they give in the middle, like, I'm a big fan of that. Again, typically, I'm against the mixing of mediums, but I think they do a pretty nice job of striking a balance. So now our dude has got the mental break, so we've lost that third of the HP bar. Did she just get crushed? I fear to report that perchance she did. So, a little cutscene action. I don't want to, you know, focus too much on the actual storyline because one, can't read it, and two, surely people when this game comes out, they're going to want to, you know, figure all that stuff out for themselves. So I wasn't going to draw extra attention to anything in the story. The nightmare is ongoing. No! But we survived this mission, got all our rewards again, and now we've unlocked the next portion of the mission. Yeah, I think they do a good job of still having some mature themes in the game because, again, like, we're essentially going to save these planets from chaos that forced everybody to abandon their planets. So there should be some level of, you know, despair, we'll call it. I think this character looks really cool. The red and the blue looks great together. Spamming through. Nurse mommy, please save us. Gotta drop a game? I mean, it's not out yet, and there is going to be a beta coming up in the, like, middle of September, middle to, like, back third of September, so we'll get to see a little bit more before global launch. There's a lot of characters, chat. If you guys want to take the time, the website has a ton of the characters available already. Yeah, she's joining up with the squad. We had to say 07 goodbye to one of our squad mates, so now we've got a new squad mate, still fighting in a party of 3. Can't necessarily say that I love this, you know, setup for the storytelling, but it doesn't deter me at all. Alright, we get back into the action. A little more story. Let me see if I can skip through some of this. We don't need to watch all this stuff. More interested in showing the gameplay aspect. So I guess that really was just a story portion. So now this is showing one of the banners. You guys can see the little wish animation. Scripted pull. And boom! We got that character. So you can see their rarity I think one of these, so specifically, the one on the bottom is their element. From what I've noticed, there's 5 various elements. And then this one in the middle must be their combat role, you know, whether they're an offensive, defensive, healer. I don't necessarily understand all of those just yet, but just as some indicators. Yeah, hopefully the story will be good. I have no idea, because again, different language, but... I don't necessarily always recognize VAs, but if that's somebody you're a fan of, very cool. So this is showing how you can swap in your units, and honestly, let me go back just a moment, because you can see on these characters, so these are the various elements. So you've got a light and a dark, and then RGB, you know, not all that crazy. So dark unit, red, blue, and then this zap versus, what is this, versus, you know, cross swords. These two characters play a similar role. Maybe that's more of a support role. Offensive, I believe. But yeah, I don't know all those details just yet. But we can figure out some little things here and there. Deploying! Into the battle we go. So here at the start of the battle, we've got our full HP bar. Like, this is... I love that. I like that art so much more than I like the chibis, but the chibis really don't bother me a ton, given, you know, I think the combat's interesting. Stun-like character? Nah, I don't know if they have a stun in the game necessarily. Like, other than your characters can be stunned during that insanity phase. I mean, maybe, look, if it can happen to you, maybe it can happen to the enemies as well. I guess we shouldn't rule it out, right? Okay, so this is more of the roguelike aspect for the HSR gamers. Consider it like simulated universe, where you have multiple choices. I can choose to go to this top option or this bottom option. However, as this banner is showing, you have combat either way. Now, I do believe you'll be able to see, you know, or at least get some indication of the enemies that you'll be fighting. I don't know if it's in this video or another video that I've seen where, you know, this red blob is something different. So perhaps it'll be a more favorable matchup to what you have going on. And also, think about how in Civ Mu, you know, you travel a path, or for the ZZZ knowers, in Lost Void, you can see ahead of time. It's showing here in the bottom left the path that you could take. So right now, this, you know, double cross swords on the red banner is indicated down here in the bottom left. Then you have an opportunity to go to this campfire, question mark, and then you end up at an attack before a question mark. Or you could say at the bottom, attack, question mark, campfire. Regardless, you're doing the same thing, just in a different path. I assume there will be more variance in later levels. It's just, this is kind of the intro to it. Yeah, the red-blue girl is the coolest looking one in my opinion. So we jump into the top, and now, boom, we've got these enemies to fight. Okay, and now it's the first time you can see. Notice how we've started to build up this third bar. As we play cards, now this is where we should be able to see this meter continues to build, which again is how you're going to build up your ultimate. Solid opening rotation, and boom, we've got our third bar filled and a smidge into the fourth. Also, something they just showed there that I want to point out is, notice up top we've got that shield symbol available. So if you have a shield, it gets tacked on with that indicator on the HP bar. So now, because we've got enough of that power, we could rip an ulti. Looks like you can store up to 7 of those bars. Oh! Ulti unlocked. Now also, we lost the corresponding. So we had 4 and change, it took away 4. Also notice that her ult is now no longer available. So I don't know how long it takes to get a character's ultimate back, but you wouldn't be able to do the same character's ultimate back to back. Now maybe there's some cards you can get in your deck that will allow for multiple ultimates, but I haven't noticed anything like that thus far. And this is more of your, like, this campground is essentially like your area to get heals and recover. So notice the HP bar, boom, we just got recovered on the HP bar. Because remember, you're using that same HP bar throughout the entire duration of this, rogue-like portion. Kind of clicking on and seeing what the entire journey is going to be like. So that's where we are. That blue line indicating where we're going. And yeah, we've only got one option to move forward, so. Question mark is area, so I don't know exactly what this is, but obviously we've got choices that can be made here. I'd assume this is something along the lines of an occurrence domain in simulated or divergent universe for HSR. And then you've got some options that can be chose. Got a little D20 action. And I don't know if it's this part or not, but this is part of the deck builder experience. Yeah, perfect. So I guess the occurrence gave us this additive, and you can see every character has got a slot for, it looks like, a sword, a chest plate, and then a ring. So you're going to be able to find, I don't know what this would be called, what this would be considered, but essentially they're boosts that you can add to any of your characters. So this is essentially just going to walk us through exactly what's happening, but it gives you the opportunity to strengthen your units. So boom, we added that item to, the red blue chick. It is a Korean developer to my understanding. And now, boom, we're back in a battle. So another thing that I believe will get pointed out here, this enemy's got a break bar. I do not believe it's like HSR, where breaking, see how it's going to remove one of them? So right there. Let me see if I can just go back a little bit. By attacking, we did remove half of their break bar. You can kind of see it right there. So I assume attacking with the, corresponding element. So this one is fire, or, the red element. So that will allow you to break that. I don't know that you get a damage bonus from breaking, but from what I've heard, you get to deal more damage after you have broken this toughness aspect. So I don't think that you directly get damage from decreasing the toughness bar, but once they are broken, you will deal additional damage. Now, this is another aspect. We are upgrading one of our characters' cards. So when they say that characters have upwards of, say, like 25 cards within their deck, when you're going through and doing the roguelike aspect, to my understanding, you are doing this so that you can upgrade your characters and upgrade the cards available to them for when you go into the other game modes. So right now, we are faced with a choice where this will retain this card, so it's the same card, but it will either stay as a one-cost card, and maybe instead of 2, you get 3 instances of the attack. This will simply reduce it to a 0-cost card, so if it pops up in your hand, you can play it for free, essentially. Or this, again, it remains 1 cost. Something goes from 2 to 3. Maybe it increases damage, but you're essentially choosing from what type of upgrade you want to apply to this card. And then when you play the card moving forward, it will be played as such. So can't do the ultimate because we haven't charged enough of it yet. Need 4, we've only got 2. Again, I guess they're confused, but see, she calls 4, we only have 2. Calls 5, I think the one on the bottom calls 5, so we haven't built up enough energy. And now, continuing through the roguelike, another question mark, could be anything! And now, I do fear there's a little bit of lore here I've already seen, so let's go ahead and skip into the battle a little bit. We'll fight the bad guy right here. Very cool. But yeah, I mean, once you check the combat system, make, sense in terms of at least the basics. As far as what these characters are good at, how you're going to want to synergize the characters, we'll need to be able to read them, or at least I'll need to be able to read them in English before I can say for sure one way or another, but you're basically balancing your, points available each turn. We did get enough energy on the left side. I didn't realize they were going to rip the ult right there. To do the ultimate. guess that gave some zero cost, damage opportunities. But you're gonna need to balance the deck, the cards that come out of your deck with your energy, and then balance, or I don't know if I should call it energy, but with the amount of skill points more or less you have, and then balance your energy to when you use your ultimates. I believe 5-star is the highest rarity. There's 4 stars, 5 stars in the game. And then there's also, they don't necessarily have weapons, but they have like companion cards, I think is what it's called. And I believe this video shows some of it. Order card RPGs, yeah. I enjoy your turn-based, and I think the deck building aspect is really cool. I don't know that you have to, pull a special card for the character. Like, I don't know that the gacha aspect is what allows you to make your deck stronger, or if it's just simply grinding through the roguelike, focusing on getting upgrades for your characters. As we saw, a couple cards have been upgraded already. Here's another occurrence, so to speak. So Big Booba Lady here to give us some good news. Yeah, each character has their own deck that's available, and then their cards get combined into the, the 3-character playing pool, if you will. I assume this is probably some sort of like really good bonus, as you do get, all of your HP back. We get to choose some sort of bonus. So, what card do we want to add right here? I believe this has to do with, the chick that we've had the whole time. Clearly the red and blue chick. This is the dude on the team. So not only did this occurrence allow us to heal our characters, but it's also granting us, presumably, a stronger card than we had prior to having this occurrence. From Epic 7. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, she holds it down. The cards look cool, and you can get, like, better aesthetics for your cards. Where it's like the cards don't play any better, but they're just, cooler looking. New battle! A strong opponent has approached! Something you'll notice as well, I'll point it out real quick. So there are, when you're playing your cards, and the developer commentary spoke about this as well, if you notice before the card is played, it will give you some indicator prior to playing the card, how much damage you will be doing, how much of an HP reduction will be happening. Apparently it is separate from crits though, so if your character crits, and procs crit damage obviously, then it could be more than what is essentially shown at the top. But it will give you an idea of what you're going to be able to deal with, any of these cards that are happening. So if you guys haven't noticed already, keep an eye up here on the enemy, and you'll see before they play the card that it does give some sort of an idea. See how that was just moving, and then after the card was played? Can maybe show it again on the next turn, just because that does go really quickly. But notice the enemy healed. Very sag. Something I have not pointed out, and at this point, I don't know if it's going to be brought up. This is an infinite bar right here. I don't necessarily know what the infinity sign is, or I shouldn't say bar, but like this symbol. There are enemies that will have a number, and I believe it is correlated to the amount of cards from your deck that you play. So if they have a 3 next to their name after you play, or next to their HP bar, after you play 3 cards, the enemy will attack. I don't know if this infinite symbol right here just means once you get done your turn, they attack. And then your turn starts again. But this will be an indicator worth note. And then underneath of this shows the type of attack that they'll be performing. So there's going to be, presumably double axes, maybe something quite strong, as opposed to, a singular axe or something along those lines. HP bar is very low. I will try to pause real quick when they're going to play a card. So I guess that's more of a supportive thing. Click on the enemy to see what's going on right there. Okay, so see, it is showing before we've played the card. This little white portion of the bar will show how much is going to be reduced. And it also looks like we will break the remainder of the toughness. So it's showing the HP bar essentially cracking right there if we were to play that. So boom. Did exactly what it showed would happen, so now they're broken, and we reduced that amount of their HP bar. Okay, looks like we're just stacking a bunch of buffs and boom! 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 Almost dead. Now dead. Eliminated. What's up, Lumos? Happy Saturday. Welcome in. And now, again, we get another upgrade. So, in the same way that, like, for example, in HSR, you beat the Plane 1 boss, you beat the Plane 2 boss, you're essentially guaranteed some 3-star blessings that you can add. I'm sure that you can get them in other manners, but this is at least one way that we've seen where you can get upgrades for your characters. Change the category? No. We're going to be playing HSR after we get done watching this. We're only going to watch a little bit more. The game's not actually out. We're just watching a video. Yappers. We don't need all the lore. Especially considering we can't understand it. I just want to play through the remainder of the run so you guys can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on. So we've only got 2 more instances to go through. Yeah, no, we're not actually playing it. The game's coming out soon, though. The game is releasing. There's a beta in about, a little less than a month, and the game should be coming out in maybe like a month and a half. Skip through the story part of it, unnecessary. Oh my gosh, a new monster has spawned! So you see how it said weak? I believe that's what's bringing up the, the toughness reduction. 69, nice. Also, that's worth pointing out. So it looks like whoever was playing this didn't necessarily have a really good idea of what was going on, but only 1 point available down here. So when they try to play this card on the right, it costs 2. So it pops up that notification. Essentially, I'm sure it says something along the lines of like, hey, you don't have enough points available to play this card. So see, they try to play this too, and it brings up that notification right there. They just don't have enough points. However, they just did something that gave them hella points. Not a skill issue, it really is. What's up, Pringles? However, as you've noticed, they didn't retain the additional points, unfortunately. So it will be imperative that if you've got cards in your deck, if you've got opportunities to increase your skill points, you may want to play them on turns where they will actually, be beneficial to you. Sometimes it's probably you can't help it. Person's using this ultimate again, so we had just filled up all 4. Yeah, so apparently from what I've learned, you'll be able to play on auto on the standard level difficulties, but there will be a harder level difficulty that you would have to manually play through. That might not be true. I'm just, essentially going off of what I've seen from other videos. Fighting. Yep. Again, we might get a chance to notice it on this next turn. Okay, so went into the insanity mode. I know it's called something different. I just can't think of what it's actually called. But this Giga Chad to the rescue! Yeah, dude. I do think if you've already played something, then running it on auto, why not? Same as HSR, but I mean, I personally, I enjoy the manual aspect of it. Especially considering, it's my understanding that you may want to do runs repeatedly to try to work on getting the best upgrades possible for your characters. Yeah. I don't know much about that guy. We really don't see a ton from them. So basically, we reached the end of the run right there, and we're going to go ahead and complete the run. Now, you'll notice here, characters are going to get save data And this is what I've been talking about. So by completing a run, you get save data for your units that you would be able to essentially use that version of the character in the other game modes. So right here. So you see that we're saving. There's various, upgrades that are happening. So this character now has bonus. I don't know why it's got these different like terabyte amounts, this TB number, but I'm assuming you are going to want to play through the roguelike to try to get the best save file per character. So when you go into the end game mode, you can use the save file for this unit, for this unit, for this unit, or your other various units that has gotten the most upgrades to give you the most, advantages when you play the end game version. I believe a party size is 3 characters, correct? Alright, so I believe they're going to show a little bit more, but that essentially walks us through. That's the first 30 minutes of gameplay that I wanted to show you guys. The build, save, and carry over to the endgame. Yeah, so there's 2 essential sides of the gameplay that are synergistic. So you play the roguelike to get upgrades to your characters, upgrades to your cards, your deck essentially, and then you use that to carry over into like the harder content, into the endgame. I have not seen any gameplay footage of the endgame. Again, I believe the majority, if not exclusively, all this type of content that has come out recently has been because they invited various content creators to a showing, and they allowed the content creators to record their gameplay footage while they were there, and then essentially, post it to their various, YouTube channels or what have you. So that's what we're seeing right here. I would like to show you guys, so here's the banners. And from what I have learned, this yellow right here is your limited banner. Now, again, I can't read Korean, so I don't know exactly what this says. However, from what I've seen, the max pity is 70 pity, and the soft pity is 57. So if you guys are familiar with Hoyoverse games, max pity is 90 and soft pity is 75. So it's a bit less than that. Now remember, as we talk about all the time, you can adjust what the pity is. It really comes down to the amount of pull currency that they will be giving you throughout the duration of a patch. So even though instead of going to 90, you only have to go to 70, it doesn't, necessarily indicate that it is a better gacha. There is a 50-50 to what I understand, and instead of the 6%, or the 0.6% drop rate, that we're used to in the Hoyo games, this is a 1% drop rate for the 5-star. So it's slightly less pity. I shouldn't even say slightly. It's 20 less pity to get to max pity, and instead of 0.6% chance, you have a 1% chance. So that's slightly higher as well. I believe this red banner is your standard banner for characters, for your combatants, as it is called. The blue is for your companions. Companions essentially operate as not exactly weapons, but add-ons. They can give bonuses. There's one that gives, say, an attack bonus. There's one that maybe gives, like, heals back. And in the same way that you can build up for an ego skill for your combatants, you can build up for an ego skill for your companions as well. I don't believe they're ever shown on the field, but they're essentially part of your character's build. You would add them on like you would add on a weapon. So, limited banner, limited characters, red, standard banner, standard characters or combatants. Blue is your standard companion banner. And then this one down here, this like purplish one, this is pretty unique. This is giving bonus aesthetics to your cards. So rather than having the base, aesthetic, you could pull a upgraded aesthetic to make your cards look fancier. I don't think it affects your gameplay in any way, shape, or form. It just changes your, aesthetic. Oh, yellow beginner banner. That's interesting. So you can see some of the characters that are available. I assume that's what this is showing right here. Unless, did they just click on the purple banner? Yeah. So this is showing you could get the upgraded cards. Doesn't necessarily make them any stronger. However, it makes them, look fancy, I suppose. This game is called Chaos Zero Nightmare. Maybe after the beginner banner, you get your regular standard banner, I would assume. And then I believe they're going to click through and show the character build profile. Yeah. So right here, again, it's in Korean, so, but it's showing your base stats, probably HP, attack, defense, attack, and then your crit chance, 3 crit rate over 125 crit damage, character level. There is an affinity system, which is what this 1 heart here is for. Their combat prowess, their combat element, and then maybe they'll click through it, so I'll hold tight. But basically, you get your character level up. You can have your, one of these is going to be like your cards in the deck. One of them is going to be for your companion, so on and so forth. So yeah, this is going to walk you through just the leveling up process right here. So boom, leveled up the character to level 10. So yeah, this is just showing the cards in the deck. So essentially, see this save file? I believe that what you're going to have here, and I believe you can have 3 save files per character. This may be the base cards, the 8 base cards that you take into combat for this unit. However, as you play through the roguelike and upgrade your deck, I believe you could expand upon the amount of cards, or you could just simply have upgrades to the cards. So show right there, see there's 3 of them. Show the 3 save files you can have per character. I don't know that this is anything other than an aesthetic. I don't know that that really matters for anything. Yeah, the story does seem relatively dark, I agree. I think it's meant to be a horror style theme. Okay, so this is the companion I was talking about. So this is available in English somewhere. I've seen it. I believe this chick may, you know, as a companion, gives you back like HP at the end of each turn. This little panda looking one gives you bonus attack. And this little, I don't know, kitsune looking one also gives you some form of offensive bonus. But yeah, these are the companions that you can tack onto your character builds. And, you know, you can level them up as well, so it's not like you just have them. You would also want to increase the levels. If this doesn't show the gacha, essentially you can pull more of these companions in the middle of the gacha. In the same way that HSR, you know, whenever you're doing a 10 pull, if you get a 3-star, it's a 3-star light cone. It looks like to fill in between characters on 10 pulls, you do get more iterations of these companions as your, you know, 3-star filler. And then here's your skill tree. So think of it as traces, your ability level ups. So, you know, various bonuses for your units. We'll pause it real quick. Whoopsies. So you guys can take a little peek at it. I've seen where it says that this is linear. I assume it goes like this, though. It follows this S. And then you can do these couple branch offs as you please. But like in most games, you're going to want to level everything to get the maximum, you know, benefit from the character. Going to show the materials that you need to get these level ups. So, same as any other game you would expect. And then this is essentially their eidolons, their constellations. But, you know, when you pull dupes of a character, what you're going to be unlocking, from what I've seen, it's extremely comparable to Hoyo systems, where 3 and 5 are going to be, you know, your default, you know, basic skill, etc. level ups. It translates a little bit differently into this game, but 1, 2, 4, and 6 are going to be, you know, the bonuses that adjust or alter the character's kit, the same way that you'd expect from Hoyo. They might be able to read this. Unfortunately, I cannot. Anybody that might be watching this that, you know, can speak or read Korean, maybe you'll be able to, you know, inform us in the comments. And then, yeah, I believe this is just clicking through the elements. It'll show you that you can sort through characters this way. Again, this is this character's card deck. Going through the different characters and what they bring to the table, etc., etc. So, but yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to show. The first, like, 30 minutes of gameplay, kind of break down exactly what the combat mechanics look like, what you should be looking for in terms of how you use your cards, how you use their abilities, how you'll build up your energy in order to use a character's ego skill or their ultimate, and what it looks like to fight against the enemies, go through the roguelike, get upgrades, and the character upgrade menu. I'm very excited about CZN. Again, I've mentioned a couple times, I'm a turn-based enjoyer, so this is right up my alley, and the aesthetic has grown on me. I think the game's going to be very fun. It's complicated enough that it won't be boring, but not overly complicated where it won't be fun. So I'm going to be looking forward to playing this game and covering this game a little bit more prior to launch. Maybe we'll do a bit more deep dive into some of these characters as more information comes out. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and drop a like and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. Are you excited about the game? Are you a little hesitant? Are you on the fence about the game? And what you would like to see covered in the future. Also, come hang out with us on Twitch sometime. It'll be linked in the bio, twitch.tv/NIXIRL. Regardless, I appreciate you guys taking time to watch the video and hang out with us. I hope you learned a little bit, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios!